Good morning. You're watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Osori Balde. We are back again on another edition. Wherever you are, thank you very much for following this program always. And we keep receiving messages from our social media handles. People follow from different parts of the world. The likes of my brother, Ibrahim Jawara, from the United States of America, not forgetting, Sister Janaba in the United Kingdom. They all follow this program. And wonderful morning goes out to each and every person, whether you are in the Gambia or abroad. And we are saying thank you very much for always taking by and following this program. And on the program, we'll be taking a look at current affairs and, of course, the African code as well. And we have Jacqueline Coley. She is our a co-host for this program. Jacqueline, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Ibrahim, and good morning to our viewers. It's good to have you back, but it seems like the cold is still doing you something.
Yes. Normally, when we are moving from the the weather, the hot season to the cold season, it affects me. It's changing. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yes, but I'm getting better now.
Okay, and to our viewers,
I'm
very well, thank you. Just missed you yesterday, but glad you're back.
Yes.
And to our viewers, thank you very much for tuning in to enjoy yet another morning program called This Morning on QTV. And I'm Jacqueline Coley, co-hosting with Ibrahim Abade.
Yes. Thank you. And our newspaper review guest is no other than Mar Nyang. Mar kula de ñëwal.
Suma jabar.
Kii dafa mel ni xam na sa test de.
Suma jabar moom moo di liggéeyal lu may sol.
Kii dafa mel ni xam na sa test de.
Waaw white.
Waaw ba pare téelo bi dafa xam fu mu koo teg. Dafa xanaa siso dafa dama si loxo téelo bi. Ori waagaan wona siso dafa dama si loxo Buso Creation.
Giving a shout out to my wife, Khadija Jallo.
Oh, it's Fula?
Yes, it's Fula.
You are not paying your tithes here. You are not paying your dues, man. Nekuloo di fay yow dara fayu loo ko.
No.
Why?
No.
You
moo si jaar so moo si jaar. So shout out to her.
Nice. I'm not surprised he's a Fula, not a Jola. All right, so it's good to have you, Mar. It's been a long time, since you appeared on this program to review the papers with us. We've been following a lot of developments. You've been traveling a lot too. To go and complete or accomplish the mission, Everybody knows Mar. When you talk about Mar, they think about advocating for certain things, to make sure they go the right way, holding public officials accountable. So what have you been up to actually, Mar?
That's a good question. I've been into a lot. As you mentioned, I've been moving around the world. As you know, my work is not limited in Gambia only. So I joined partners and organizations that I work with, observing pre-election activities in Ghana. As you know, Ghanaian people will be heading to the polls on December 7th to choose an election. It's going to be a very interesting election because the NPP and the NDC, they also have an NPP and the NDC, which are the two main political parties in Ghana, will be contesting. Normally it's switch, right? When NPP comes to power after 2 terms, it's switch to NDC.
Oh, okay.
Right. So, as you know, John Mahama is coming back, and then also the vice president of the current president as well is also coming, and there's a religious
in a different party, or
no? The vice president is in the same party with the current
president.
Yes, and so obviously Gambia Participate will be taking a staff. The program manager will be going for this observation. And we're also in the U.S. observing the interesting elections between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. So we're also in South Africa, the Global Assembly, work with the World Movement for Democracy, IRI and NDI, to hold a session where we are looking at the challenges that young people from around the world are facing when it comes to countering corruption, right? Every anti-corruption advocate face reprisals in their work, right? Because public officials who are engaged in corruption do not want their corrupt activities to be exposed, right? So they identified me to provide solutions to the challenges that they are going through. That is outside the country. Back home, we're doing a lot on the Constitution. You know, tomorrow, the National Assembly will be receiving the draft Constitution at the National Assembly. So what we have done this past months, we did an internal review of the 2020 draft and then that of the 2024 draft, right? And then use that document to bring civil society organizations together, review the amendments that have been made from the 2020 and the additions in the 2024, and then make recommendations for every single clause that has been amended, right? So that was done, and a position paper is developed, which we seek to present to the National Assembly members and engage them around it. But also we have worked with a coalition of CSO Coalition on Constitution We Want. They've been going around the country, engaging the citizens on the Constitution. And it's important for me to say it here, that we are not against constitutional reform. In fact, we are in support of constitutional reform, right? And we are telling National Assembly that they should take this moment, and politicians as well, right? We have one camp that is saying, bring back the 2020 draft as it is. We have the NPP, the UDP saying that, the NPP is saying, oh, we have to make the amendment. This is the position of the executive. We're telling the lawmakers, put your political differences aside. South Africa achieved constitutional reform, putting all their political differences aside. Sierra Leone achieved that. Nigeria achieved that, right? Kenya achieved that. As a country, we are too small to be divided by politics. You have the 2020, you have the 2024. There are some good clauses and ambitious good clauses in the 2024, and also ambitious clauses in the 2020 draft, right? Sit down, review the 2024, because the 2024 draft is born out of the 2020 draft with new additions by the government, which we don't agree to some of them. Some of them we agree with them. You understand? So let them sit down together and then make the amendments and give us the constitution we need. Simple as that. It's not about UDP or NPP. That will be so selfish of parliamentarians if they decide to vote on party lines and refuse to look at the constitution. Because the 2020 draft, they didn't even take the time to look at it. So if they throw this out, it means they did not also take the time to give this draft a chance to go through referendum.
So what should they do? I mean, to be able to muffle their sentiments. I mean, to be able to, agree on one page, to be precise, so that this can work. Otherwise, the draft constitution all the time it's coming up, and nobody is taking heed, Mar.
Yeah, the ones that rejected the 2020 draft, they are in the bad books of history, right? And if these parliamentarians, some of whom are back in the same parliament, if they decide to throw this constitution out, they will also be in the bad book of the country. Why? Because the country needed to consolidate its democracy by achieving constitutional reform. We did not achieve that. When Parliament was passing their salary and gratitude pensions, whatever act, they did it unanimously and it was passed. When they were voting for the budget to get themselves cars, they did it unanimously without the consultation of the citizens. You understand? When the former president's bill was coming to Parliament, it was passed. You understand? So the most important document that the people want, all the research that have been done by Afrobarometer, done by CRPD, majority of Gambians want constitutional reform. They're still committed to constitutional reform. So no matter how undemocratic some of the clauses in the 2020 draft is, let's look at it in a liberal mind. You bring it to Parliament as a lawmaker. That's your responsibility. That's why they call them lawmakers. You sit, review the proposed bill. It's a proposed legislation, constitution, for that matter. You look at it, okay, chapter 5 on leadership and integrity is removed. We think it should be brought back. So let's discuss, agree, we bring that back. You understand, right? Nomination of National Assembly members was removed in the 2020 draft. it is added in the 2024. Let's look at it. Is it reasonable in our democratic society? No, it's not. Let's remove all opportunities for the president to have a nominated member in the parliament. You remove that. So you have to look at this in a liberal mind. Forget about political affiliation.
Right.
And unfortunately, if they do not do that, the citizens will be very disappointed. And look at the 2022 parliamentary elections. Most of the parliamentarians that rejected the 2020 draft, they were voted out.
Right.
And the same thing is going to happen to these parliamentarians. So at least for the last time, let's look at Gambia first and forget about politicians.
Definitely. Gambia first.
Absolutely.
instead of politics.
So at a personal level, what can Gambia participants do to be able to engage these parliamentary members side by side? I mean, so that they can all agree.
So we have been doing that since last year. We've engaged the political leaders, and we held the Constitution We Want Convergence in May, and then brought different groups, the faith groups, the human rights groups, the politicians. They were there. And right now what we are trying to do is to take the position paper that we have developed, a very comprehensive one, which gives recommendation on every single clause that have been amended to Parliament. Right now we are anticipating to have this engagement with Parliament and present our Constitution We Want position paper, and then our recommendations. So with this, we hope it will influence their decisions on the draft Constitution. So yeah.
Yeah, so Jacqueline, today I don't think we will have much time. Okay, let's deal with the African Code.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess Mr. Nyang knows about the African Code.
Oh
We
yeah,
usually
yeah,
discuss.
yeah, absolutely.
And today I think is rather not African, but
yeah,
very important.
It's a code.
Right.
Yeah.
And it says love is not only something you feel, it's something you do. And I guess you chose this.
Yes, I chose
Again.
that, you know.
So tell us.
So, sometimes you need to enhance your day with love. I mean, you need to spread the love. And
Okay.
love can vary from one thing to another.
Right.
You can love your friend, love your father, love your wife, you know, love your... I mean, love can be... can vary from different, you know, the way you say it. You know, I can tell Jacqueline, I love you, you know, but not an emotional love. You
Right,
know, you
'cause
know, but it can be love for the sake of liking the person and loving the individual.
But this code, I think it goes beyond expressing love as a feeling. It has to do with the behavior and affection. Love is not only something you feel, it's something you do.
Something you do.
Your actions, your behavior can also speak love, even though you don't feel it. In a way, let's say a relationship, an intimate relationship with someone. Love is not only about intimacy, but what you do. You say you love me as a family member, but when I need a shoulder to cry on, you're not there. When I need advice, you're not there. When I need support in difficult times, you're not there. And then you say you love me. I'll really, really doubt that. Because love is not something that you just feel or say. It's the things you do. The little things matter.
True.
Being there for your family members, your loved ones, your friends, showing them support in times of difficulties. All those things are signs of love.
Absolutely.
So when all of these things are absent for me, there is no love.
There is no love.
Yeah, that's how
But
I
what
see
is
it.
love to you?
Love for country.
Okay.
In that aspect.
It's difficult to love people like Marde because when you are loving them, they are loving the country.
Well, that's love.
Yeah,
That's
I mean, love for country. You know why I say that? You see, Nigerians, wherever they travel, wherever they are around the world,
You know
it's
they are.
Nigerian. And they have their own way of pronouncing Nigeria. And they will not change their accent.
No.
They're proud of who they are.
No, when
Exactly.
they are there, you know they are there.
The Senegalese, wherever they are, Senegal, that's what you hear. The Americans, wherever they are, the Mexicans, wherever they are, when they speak, they will put in the Mexican accent or the Spanish in it.
Okay.
Right? And they will fight for South Africans. They fight for their country. So I think for me, love for country it requires sacrifice. Love for country requires participating, and that's why we call ourselves Gambia, participating in national development, and then making sure that things work. And if you're trying to hold government officials accountable. It's not personal. It's just the love for country
For
that you
country,
have.
yeah.
Love for the people. And if I say love for country, it also means love for the people that are underprivileged, and you want them to be uplifted, right? So for me, love for country in that aspect, but let's not get into the other side.
I know, yeah, I know.
But it's all love, like the court said. It's not
Yeah,
something you feel. It's
all-
something you do.
yeah,
And you
it's
trying
all
to
love.
uplift, like you just mentioned, try
Yeah.
to make the Gambia a better place. It's all part of
Yeah, yeah,
love.
I know. Yeah,
Right.
so it depends how you interpret it and what extra efforts you put. I mean, in that love. I mean, you believed in, because it's telling you it's something that you do. You feel it, then you walk towards it.
Right.
You understand? So it's very significant.
And I see Mr. Mar is very patriotic.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes. So let's move on. President Adama Barrow is warning the traffic officers on the Point newspaper. It reads, Barrow warns traffic officers.
Right.
What is he warning them about?
And it's on the Fourier.
Yes.
The
Is it-
Fourier also said President Barrow warns police against extorting money from motorists and drivers. I think this headline is more clearer on what the story is saying.
Yeah. But I mean, when I saw this on the Point, I definitely my mind went straight to maybe taking bribes and.
It's actually all related, and it's very common to see checkpoints, not because they are security checkpoints, but checkpoints. You know, I would even call could be extortion. Because they're using power to get money from people, right? Sometimes, you know, I mean, it's also very difficult. It's very difficult because number one, these police officials are severely underpaid. You understand? So you give them $2,500 or minimum $4,000-$5,000 before the midway of the month is done.
It's gone,
right? And you see police officials, they beg for it.
Right.
Sometimes it's not extorting.
Right.
No,
Right?
so- yeah.
You
yeah,
drive through
yeah,
them,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
No, what
yeah.
is where loma amal.
Exactly.
Amuma, they leave you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most of them, that's how they behave. Whether it is right morally, right, professionally, it is not. But you know, they have family to feed. So in order for you to stop that, you need to make sure that they're well paid. How do you do that? By making sure you reduce all of the expenditures that you put in the vehicles, travels, allowances, and then give it to the police officials. In Senegal, if you get to the banlieue around Dakar, it becomes difficult to, even if you try to bribe them, it becomes serious. And in other developed countries, in Rwanda, right, in the Western countries, you try to bribe police, it's a crime, and you will be taken to jail for it.
Wow.
Probably they are paid.
They're well paid, they're well remunerated. So how about put more money in remunerating the officials? Because that's one way of subduing police corruption.
Fine, yeah.
Right?
obvious,
You remunerate them well, and they do their job. But if you remunerate them well and they're still extorting money, then you take action.
There
Yeah,
is a
that's
problem.
why when I saw the headline this morning, I said to myself, did you sit to think, am I paying them well? If I'm paying them well, then why are they extorting money? So if they're extorting money, am I paying them well?
Yeah.
So that question should have been asked before,
Yeah.
you know, making the statement. I don't know what he further went on to say because we did not see the
Absolutely,
papers.
yes.
But the headline, I think it spoke volume for itself.
I mean, it's all connected to the root cause of this problem.
Right.
I do not like having checkpoints everywhere. Sometimes you are in a rush, you move on the highway, one checkpoint to another.
And they're not
you
even
move-
far away from
Yeah.
each other. Not even 50 meters.
So you move and then langam amal. You move to another place, langam amal. It's
Langam
frustrating. It's frustrating,
It's
right?
frustrating.
But I think on the other side of the spectrum is, you know, give them a better
Yeah,
pay
absolutely.
and reduce all of this unnecessary.
Yeah, that's the
checkpoints.
bottom line, Mar. I mean, once you are paid well, I mean, you know, okay, I will not even risk my job for this as little amount. At some point, if I am caught, I might end up being demoted, you know, or I might face the penalties. So paying the officers well too will definitely help. But I mean, at some point too, there are motorists, there are people who ply the route. Sometimes they they break the rules severely. Some of them, I mean, we've seen vehicles that drive without lights. So when a police officer is looking for money and you've seen a vehicle like that, obviously they will put all they have on you. So these are also problems. It's one way or the other.
Right. So moving on, still on the Foreign newspaper, the URR residents appeal for stadium feeder roads, decentralization of passport issuance. You know, we had the PRO yesterday and the following week, and I did ask if I think you asked if there is a way that they can decentralize, you know,
the passport system.
Passport issuance, like have it maybe in
URR, different regions.
But he did mention that this is a very important document. Even in developed countries, like Ade mentioned in the UK and USA, you just have one center that deals in, you know, giving out passport issuances. And I think this is a very important document. Like to have it in every part of the country, to me, I don't think it is.
Well, I mean, it's very significant. Getting passport at Banjul is very frustrating.
It is, but do you think it should be decentralized?
It should be decentralized. It's not sensitive. The same immigration officers at Banjul that are interviewing citizens and issuing the passports is the same immigration officers that you are also deploying in different parts of the country. Right? It's going to be an immigration department. You have immigration officers everywhere in the country, right? Why do a citizen have to travel from Mankam, Anuhare, in Basse, to come all the way to Banjul to apply for a passport, right? You should have a headquarters in URR. You should have another headquarters in NBR, LRR, CRR, right? This is why we're seeing a lot of rural urban migration, not only about the passport issue, because everything is centralized here.
I mean, it is.
Right? It should not be that. It should not be like that. When citizens want certain documentations, they should have it in a more easier, seamless manner.
Absolutely.
They should not struggle for it. So, and look, if you go to Senegal in Saint Louis, they issue passports. You go to Dakar, they issue passports as well. You understand? So. It's just this colonial mindset. Because during the colonial period, everything was centralized in the colonies and the protectorates were put aside. Right? The amenities, everything within the colony, and then that's why you have the People's Protectorate Party, which is the PPP of Jawara, fighting for the rights of the protectorate people. And it's the same colonial mindset that our government is running this country. Everything should be in Banjul. If you're from the protectorate, you come here to Banjul and then we give it to you. It should not be the case. Look, the world has moved.
So, and you have to consider the setup then and now is different. It was just a small number of people living in the Gambia. You know, so it was easier to just get one place where you process IDs. But now, every year, in and out, the Gambia people, we are growing.
We are now about 3 million?
Yes, we are growing now. So having it, decentralizing it in the various locations would definitely do. That would, especially, this is internet generation now.
Yeah, it's just lack of confidence in your own institutions. Because if you trust your institutions, then you just let them do the work with supervision, right? But this is the problem that we have. We don't build institutions. We build institutions around an individual. Once that individual gets out, it becomes very difficult for that successor to transition, right, and maintain what is in there. So I think this has been an issue. The ID cards, the birth certificate was decentralized. People were, I mean, the ones that were issuing birth certificates were going all around. And birth certificate is one of the requirements that you need to present in order to be issued a passport.
That's true. Yeah, but there's a lot of chaos at the Gambia immigration, especially now with this work agreement between Spain and Saudi Arabia.
There has been a surge.
If you go to the immigration, it's crazy to get passports.
So moving on to the Standard newspaper. Now, rent amendment laws makes life easy for tenants. I think this was standard by how to call it?
Honorable Madisise.
Honorable Madisise.
He's very keen.
What do you make of this?
I think it's a good move. I had a conversation with Honorable Madisise previously regarding this. I think rental in this country is very difficult.
It is.
It's very expensive. and Gambians are unable to afford rent because of the way the market has been misused, right? So I think it will, to some level or to some degree, to ease Gambians to have a comfortable rent agreement and then be able to, have business and individuals that are renting properties to citizens to be regulated, right? You cannot just wake up and then kick out your tenant out of the house, even though there is a notice that should be given, but that sometimes it's not respected.
It's not.
You kick out, right, out of the place, and then you have to live like a homeless person, right? You're desperate. Psychologically, it's not even healthy.
It's not.
Right. So more to it, the financial part, the payments, and then look, when you're getting into a house, they ask you to pay for a 1 year
Sometimes
or
6 months, right.
Yeah, payments. And I think this rent Amendment Act seeks to address that. How do you expect a public officer receiving $5,000 right to pay 6 months? He's gonna steal it or go and borrow money from somewhere
Right.
else. And people in this day and age, in this generation, people want privacy. Before you marry, you live with your family.
Absolutely.
Right.
Now, look, the generation has evolved. People have evolved. People want
Right.
privacy.
Right.
They get married, they move out
Right.
to have their privacy. So if you're asking someone else who just got married, spend a lot of money on their wedding, right, and then thinking of upkeep, and you want that person to pay 6 months. Now, even the developed countries don't do that. You pay monthly rent payments. So I think if it's not done, the society is going to become a more capitalist
Right.
system where only the haves can afford rent, and the ones who do not have will suffer.
Right, and sometimes you even see these landlords, they will tell you, okay, I want to renovate. They'll give you a notice, and when you move out, someone comes in, and they will increase
Yeah.
without even changing anything.
Yeah.
Some houses I see, and I
It's
ask,
crazy.
what's the rent? They will tell you 5,000 a month. It's not even worth it. Don't even have proper bathrooms.
crazy.
Like this line house, you have
Yes.
5 line houses, all sharing one
Oh
bathroom.
my God, that's the problem.
It's sad.
That's a problem. And the people that I cannot tend to accommodate well is the agents. I mean, the agent
They're the
fee,
ones making life difficult
agent
when it
fee.
comes to
I mean,
rental
I don't understand
nowadays.
the agenting system.
Right,
You know,
right.
so it's important. Whatever you do, even if it's a rural home, get a rural home, man. Go get settled
You have to
somewhere.
pay them sometimes 2,500 just to go see the place. And when you go, sometimes you don't even like the place.
No,
you
what
not-
they actually do sometimes, the house that they're taking you to, the agents, that house, they've already talked to another
Another
person,
individual.
and the person is in the process of paying, but because they call it movement fee,
Right.
they just bring you there and they said, fast, if you don't pay, someone else is
Someone
going
else
to
is gonna
So you
take
give
it.
them that $500 or $2,500 and you out of it,
Right.
right? So another person has already taken it.
Right.
So it's a very messy market, but also
It's-
this is why
It's
regulation
not
is very important.
controlled.
Right.
It should be controlled. Mar, someone is disagreeing about police being corrupt because they are underpaid. You know, our brother, he's sending a message from Spain currently. He said, Mar should not say that on TV.
Why not?
Well, I disagree with him.
I'll have to read out the message.
All right.
Being unpaid is not an excuse. Mar should not be saying that on TV. Corruption has nothing to do with being underpaid. Huh? If it was so, civil servants who are well paid will not be corrupt. You understand? And he said, being well paid will not stop them being corrupt. It's about being, having integrity and being honest. Yes, salaries have to be argument, but there is no correlation between being low paid and being corrupt. Let's go back to basics and teach our children at kindergarten about honesty and integrity.
I agree with him on the second part of his text message, and I disagree with him on the first part of the message. I did not encourage corruption. I said the root cause of corruption is being underpaid.
Right.
If you're underpaid, right, you're receiving, for example, $5,000. You have a family, and before the end of the month you finish your money, people find a way. So I said, in order to address that root cause of the problem is to increase the salaries of the people. And I also say that if you increase the salaries of the people and they're still becoming more corrupt or then you take punitive actions, right? So to address the root cause of corruption
is to increase
the salary.
pay,
So
yes.
you have the root causes. The root causes are underpayment of government institutions, and then you have weak institutions. Look, integrity is not in everyone. And that's why I said I agree with him on the second part. The ones that are paid well are still engaging in corruption. But you have to look at the differences of corruption between those that are well paid and those that are underpaid. The ones that are well paid engage in what we call systematic and grand corruption, which is the deadliest. The police engage in what we call petty corruption. $5, $10, $15. The other ones are stealing millions of dollars. Money that are meant for health. We have $10 million that have been stolen from malaria programs. The police officer, you never see a police officer taking $1 million. So what I'm saying is the police must be well paid in order to address the corruption issues in our traffic. If you pay the traffic officers well, and they're still becoming corrupt, then you can take more positive action. But saying we're going to threaten without addressing the root causes, does not solve corruption in any way, shape, or form.
It will not.
Right, and I think I got his last part saying being underpaid is not an excuse to be corrupt, because those in the higher offices that are paid even more are still extorting money. They're still being corrupt, and I think I'll agree on that part. Right, being underpaid is not an excuse.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it is not an excuse to be corrupt. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I think, Mar, that's clear. You've clarified that as well.
Do we have something else on the papers?
Yeah, so let's still move on. So let's talk about the amendment still. People are still interested to know, how, are we going to approach this? Is this going to be sustainable as well? Because the landlords, their compounds belong to them. Sometimes they can bring rules without even following the right procedure.
Every rule should be within the boundaries of the law.
Right.
Right? If you get into a rental agreement, right, there is a percentage that the landlord have to pay to the government, like 15% rental, the levy, right, the taxes. Now you cannot flush that on the tenant, or else you all agreed, and in the global amount that the tenant is paying, you take off the 15% and then you pay it to the government. But you cannot say, okay, rental is 100,000 for 6 months plus 15%. Right, and you flush that on the citizen. So you are interested in your 100,000, right? But you want that 15,000 to be paid by the tenant as well. So at the end of the day, nothing is actually being done by the landlord. And even so, right, there is a regulation as to how you could evict a tenant. That's why you go to the rent tribunal. You always find cases there.
Right.
You cannot just kick someone else out of your house. So I think, there's more to it, and then I think enforcement is also very important in this case. But we also need to look at the two sides, right? Tenants have their own challenges. Landlords have their own challenges. Some tenants get into a landlord's house and they mess up the place big time. With all the materials, building and infrastructure that the landlord invested into it, they get into it and they mess it up. So sometimes the landlord is also not left with any option but to evict them in order to maintain the infrastructure that they have worked on. So tidiness and taking the responsibility is also
But normally
important.
I think there is a fee that you pay when entering, maybe 10,000. That would be for maintenance when you mess
I think it's
up the
part
place.
of the advance payment that you usually
yes, you
pay.
pay that.
So
Yeah.
usually, where we live in, we paid 6 months. So the first 3 months we were in the house, we did not pay. So the other 3 months, I think that is what the landlord keeps. So when you're going out and there's nothing that should be fixed, then you'll be given back the money, something like that.
Your money, yes.
I think that's how it works.
Yes,
Right.
interesting. I mean, the government housing scheme, Mar, don't you think we should fasten that so that, at least civil servants will have a place to stay? The rent is really affecting people.
It is. It's very
Definitely.
expensive.
You go to certain countries, in one suburb, there are couple of apartments built by the local council or the central government. So these apartments, high-rise apartments, but very affordable, right? They're giving it to low-income earners in both the government and then also those that are not in the government. Remember, the ones that are outside the government are more than the ones in the government, right? So it's for the citizens. So the way you do that, you invest this money into these high-rise flats and then have apartments built, hundreds of, in fact, thousands of apartments, right? And then you give it to them through schemes, right? Some are through lease to own. Some of them are through rental. Lease to own, sometimes you get in there, you will be leasing, paying up to, it's like a mortgage plan, up to a certain period of time, and then you own the apartment, right? If it is a house, you mortgage, you own it. I think Social Security is doing that. Social Security is doing the mortgage plan, which every citizen can actually apply for. And I think it's very interesting because it's online, you apply it, and then you don't have to have any personal interaction with anybody else, and you will know your status online too. Now, at the government level, we used to have a housing sort of ministry or directorate if there's none. Now, once you do that, right, and then you're getting citizens into those apartments, they don't have to pay these 5-6 months rental fees, right? They get in there, and then you have an office that will be supervising how that estate is being managed. The tidiness, right? And then behavioral, and then security, you name it. So in most countries, that's what the governments are doing. I think we should not be left behind.
Yeah, I think housing is something that should be addressed. And, because imagine when you are paid and you take that little money you have, you go and pay it rent, and at the end of the time, what are you going to feed on? So I think we should advocate for that as well. You know, yeah. So thank you very much, Mar Nyang, for reviewing the papers with us. Thank you very much. We appreciate, and hope to catch up another time again.
Hopefully. Thank you.
Yes. All right. So viewers, will take a short break. After the break, the program continues. We'll be right back.
And Orange Money has just made money transfer easier. Now you can send money from Gambia to Senegal directly from your Q Money wallet. So what are you waiting for? Get your Q Money account now and start sending money to your friends and families through Orange Money in Senegal now. For more information, call our customer care on 133. Q Money, Sunu Kalpe. Terms and conditions apply.
Q-Money e Orange Money joni weɓini nuldugol mbuɗi mi yetoma joni hiɗa wawi nuldude mbuɗi iwra ko Gambia ɗo yaha Sénégal e Q-Money wallet ma on eyyi ko honno wonɗa e fadde mi yetoma udduto Q-Money account ma on joni fuɗɗoɗa nuldude mbuɗi e teriɓe ma rewa ɗon ka Orange Money nder Sénégal fi heɓugol hen ko laaɓi hiɗa wawi noddude Q-Money customer care e 133 Q-Money suñu kalpe ɗum no yaadi e sartaji. Q-Money anin Orange Money ye bulodi nyola pour ka kori kio sone yandi ka bonan Gambia banko kan kata Senegal banko kan anin Q-Money wallet ika mune batu imuna fan Q-Money account wala sign pour kadati ka kodoki iterimal anila dimbayal kana anin Orange Money Senegal ni lafta ku Senegal sotola je Q-Money customer care commandi 133 Q-Money suñu kalpe ñing sartolle bala. Q-Money ak Orange Money ñoo lëkkaloo pour yombalal leen yónnee xaalis bàyyi ko Gambia dem ba Sénégal ak Q-Money wallet looy toog di xaar dawal léegi nga ubbi Q-Money account pour nga mun a door di yónnee xaalis sa xariteeg sa mbokk yi jaarale ko Orange Money Sénégal léegi pour am si lu leer mun nga call Q-Money customer care si 133 Q-Money suñu kalpe lii dafa ànd ak sarta yuñ tëral.
Mitoma. First time cross, really threatening, and it's dropped for Minte, rifled in! Out.
Did you know you can buy cash power using Q-Money Wallet absolutely free up to $30,000? Use our app or dial 323# and select Q-Power. Choose Register Meter. Enter your meter number. Dial *323# and follow these simple steps. Number 1, select option 3 for Q Power. Number 2, choose option 1 to buy any amount of Q.
We are back. You are watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Balde. Now let's move to the third segment of this program. We talk to Gambian medics returned after endoscopy training. And we have, Jacqueline.
We have Dr. Keva Gassama and Miss Mariama Bey, who is also a nurse. And stand to be corrected, Mr. Gassama is a gynecologist, right? Right. So the two of them returned from China after months of intensive training on endoscopy. And today they're going to be sharing some insights about their training, the importance, and what they have gained from China, and what they will add to the health sector here in the Gambia.
Yes, first of all, we'd like to understand what endoscopy itself
it's all about, exactly.
These are terms, used by medical personnel, and when you try to endoscopy us in the studio, you confuse us. Yeah, so gentlemen and lady, welcome to QTV this morning.
Thank you so much.
Yes, we're going to start with the lady. Ladies first. I don't want to get into Jenna Wasonko's trouble. She said, always start with the ladies. Yes. So, how are you doing?
I'm all right.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, so please tell us what this actually means.
Yeah, when you talk about laparoscopy or endoscopy, it has to do with the operation that doesn't actually need a big incision, whereby you just do maybe 3 or 2 incisions to actually have access to the abdomen to do your surgery. So our responsibility here is a nurse actually in the perioperative room. So they're the ones that do the surgery. So we assist them and then assemble the instruments for them.
Right. So Mr. Gassama, tell us more about it.
Okay. The endoscopy is a technology which is the whole world is now, embracing. It has been, the world is shifting away from doing the traditional, conventional open surgery where you cut open the abdomen to get access to the patient's organs to operate. Okay. So in this case, you use a keyhole, like a small incisions that you make on the abdomen, and then you have access to the organ that is diseased, is the one that you want to operate on. Like if you want to have access to the uterus, the womb, you just make an incision, a small incision, go in with the camera inside, and then you operate that womb, the uterus that have a problem. Whatever you want to do there, whether you want to repair it, whether you want to remove it, you can have access through that. So basically, the advantage of this surgery is it has greater advantage compared to the conventional open surgery, because when you have this kind of operation, patients have less complication. Okay. They have also less pain, and also the recovery time is quicker, and then also there is the risk of infection also to the site of the operation is very minimal compared to the conventional open surgery. And then patients have the luxury to also go back to their normal activity, their normal work, in a very short period compared to the previous one that patients will take long to recover, will be in pain for some time, and then it is not cost productive. Yeah, so this is a modern technology of operating patients, which the world is now shifting on. If you go to the West, majority of their surgeries is laparoscopic surgery. Just few of them are open surgeries, but majority. So this is what we are also moving towards.
How about if it's a situation whereby you need an open surgery?
Yes, so there are indications to do this kind of surgeries. So you need to carefully select the patients that you need for the patient to undergo through laparoscopic surgery. Okay. So patients that have a let's say, uterine fibroid, which is very common in this Gambia. Many women have fibroid in their womb, and it's even preventing them from conceiving, getting baby, or getting pregnant, or even when they are pregnant, it's making it difficult for them to deliver. So if you have this kind of tumor, fibroid, if it is very big, you cannot do this laparoscopic surgery.
Okay.
You understand? You need an open surgery to be able to remove that big fibroid.
Okay.
Okay, and also in cesarean section, for now, the knowledge has not gone to that level yet that you need a laparoscopy and endoscopy to do cesarean section, not at this stage.
Okay.
Yeah, so you have to carefully select the patient.
All right. So tell us about this training. I learned it's a 6-month intensive training. So tell us what were the take-homes for you, what you learned, how you think this training will improve, you know, the health sector in the Gambia.
Yeah, so the training is very significant. As I said, it's a technology that the world is now moving on.
Right.
So this will help our patients verily, okay, when it comes to reducing complications of surgery, limiting infections during surgery, okay, pain management. So the training was, 6 months intensive training, where we have, it's divided into theoretical and practical base.
Okay.
Then the first part was theoretical, where we received some lectures, some important lectures in classroom. And then after that, we also had a practical, approach in the theater, where we really have a hands-on, practice to do most of these procedures, you know, to learn most of these, instruments. Yep.
Yeah, so, what is your role when it comes to this as far as endoscopy is concerned?
Okay. The responsibility of the perioperative nurse in the theater here when it comes to laparoscopy, you as the perioperative nurse, you have to make sure you bring in the right patient, because you need to do that confirmation for the patient before you bring the patient in, because imagine operating the wrong patient, it's actually a trouble. So it's your responsibility to make sure the right patient is actually brought to the theater, and making sure you arrange your table depending on the type of surgery you're going to do. Yeah, because you need to position your patient when it comes to the type of surgery, because you have different type of positioning. And then making sure that you do all those padding for the pressure areas, because you don't want to harm your patient. The patient shouldn't come to actually have a solution to a problem, and now you decide to add something else there. And you as the nurse as well, you need to make sure all these infection control measures are actually put in place. When it comes to the instruments, nurses are the ones that take care of the instruments, making sure they are sterile, highly sterile, before you actually bring them. And then making sure that you set your tray. And then when it comes to hemostasis as well, during surgery, you as the perioperative nurse, anything that is needed, because you don't have to wait until you have like something that is actually like a heavy bleeding, then you start running from one corner to another to get something to just arrest that bleeding. So you have to make sure that all this instrument that will be needed in the case is actually on the table. Yeah. And then also during the surgery, you as the perioperative nurse, is your responsibility to also monitor the patient during the surgery, after the surgery. And then when it comes to the surgical counting as well, you as the perioperative nurse, anything that is actually open in that table, let's say the shafts, blades, and anything, you need to make sure you count them when you start, in the middle of the surgery, and then after the surgery.
Okay.
Yeah, just to avoid leaving something in the patient's abdomen.
Okay.
So during this training in China, what stood out for you? What was that thing that they taught you and you were like, okay.
Before you get there,
Okay.
just to buttress on her point,
Right.
you know, most of these instruments and the consumables we use, sometimes if you are not careful, when the surgery gets so intense, you can actually forget something in the patient's abdomen. Yes, so when you are now closing, now the peri-op nurse is the one that is there to now make sure all those things have been, like, we started with this number of instrument, we started with this number of needles, we started with this number of mops. So how many are there? Make sure it is intact before you close your surgery.
Your job is very difficult.
That is
Yes.
why
You need to
it is,
concentrate more.
Yes.
it's always necessary when you're doing the scrubbing, you have somebody that is called the circulatory nurse to be with you,
Right.
because you shouldn't count alone. Because imagine if you count like 10 needles or you count like 10 mops, and at the end of the surgery you have like 9. What are you going to do? But if you have somebody out there who is counting with you, because you cannot count alone, because
Right.
if you count alone, you verify alone, anything can happen.
Yeah.
But you have something,
You may be
that
biased.
somebody that should be actually, somebody that should actually counter check, come and confirm. Even when you're counting, the person needs to be there. You count and that person counts, and then record. If you're using a computer, if you're using a paper base as well, whatever the case is, but you need to count and make sure what you actually open is still on the table.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doctor, do we even have the those materials or those instruments that we use? You said
for the endoscope.
You said this is camera.
Right.
Do we even have you know, those things to use, or have you started? I mean, using them already?
Yes. When the program started, it was the endoscopy center was opened in Edwards Francis Small Teaching Hospital almost 7-8 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So the same team from China came here. They donated to us 2 sets of laparoscopic machine with their accessories, 2 sets of hysteroscopic machine with their accessories, and also a digital ultrasound machine. Yeah, so some accessories, we tend to have most of them, but some are not still available. So when we were there, we were even communicating with our people here, trying to know what are the things on the ground that we actually don't have, and we definitely need them. So I was actually communicating with the doctors, with the head of department who was here, then was giving us feedback. So my professor there in China, I make a list of things that we need, you know, in our day-to-day activity in order to help us to operate. So we identified those things, and then it's there with them. My professor will be coming, I think, in not just few moments later. She will be here, and then she promised to bring some of the instruments that are lacking that we don't have. That they are bringing them along.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I mean, we've exhausted this.
But before that, I asked a question.
Yes,
like,
quickly.
what was the take home? What made it for you during this 6-month training, and to you too?
Yeah.
So we'll start from you.
Yeah, even though we have been doing laparoscopy here in the Gambia before leaving to China, but I was really impressed when it comes to the way they work, when it comes to the commitment, the teamwork.
Right.
It was just excellent. So we actually learned all those things, and then decide to maybe teach our people, and then maybe to do other step-down trainings to make sure things are done the same way, because it is just exceptional. Errors are not actually really something that you can maybe avoid 100%, but in the way they work, I think you can limit it as much as possible because of the teamwork.
So you think we lack that here, that teamwork, that cooperation?
We need to just do more.
Okay, you need to just do more. All right.
Yeah, so the take home for me there is we've been exposed to long working hours, long duration of operation time. Then, like, I was even promising my professor that if I reach home, I will make sure I operate from 7 o'clock to 7, because there that's how we operate. From 7 o'clock to 7, sometimes up to 9 p.m. we are operating like the whole day. So the take home message is they are hard working, and they are like diligent, and their commitment to work. You know, we tend to learn that.
They don't go home at 4.
Yes, I mean, they have to work till, you know, you have to, like, you book your cases like 12. You say I will operate 12 cases in the day. Today, you have to make sure you just do those 12 cases.
Exactly.
The only thing that can prevent you from not doing that when the patient declines, when the patient says no, I don't want operation.
Thank you.
So
thank
much
you, doctor.
there.
Thank you very much.
Discipline.
Thank you for coming, and I wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you.
And I am pretty sure gradually our healthcare system will improve. I mean, few years back, we did not have people like you go and study and come back. Now you are here, another batch would be going again. So gradually we will be there. Although people complain a lot about our healthcare system. Even me, I complain a lot about the healthcare system. No medicine, you know, sometimes I question your professionalism. But I believe you would be there gradually. So viewers will take a short break. After the break, we'll be back.
Mitoma. First time cross, really threatening, and it's dropped for Minte, rifled in! Out.
Hidandi da wawi sodude cash power e Q money wallet maong te ayobata hai hunde ida wawi sode ko yehi ha guluji chapan $30. Kawatano baby, wadu dial star 323 has joka sartajiding subada option 3 fi Q power. Ontumasi suboda register meter number sa gaini natina number meter maong. Wadu dial star 323 has joka sartajiding suboda option 3 fi Q power. on tumasi suboda ko jelu falda sodude. Awawa hebude ko bura andrere free QCell airtime watu kala soduda Q power fi hebugol hen ko laabi de waynodude 133 Q money suñu kalpe.
Mitoma. First time cross, really threatening, and it's dropped for Minte, rifled in! Out.
Korea lonne ko anila Q Money Wallet isa Q Power sanno katafo wulitan saba andung ita fenjola. Ibe minkela ibanna Apple download la wala yesta 323 has dial B yebula sartol noma. Follow ye register mita tombo. Fulanjao yela mita nomba dundi. Yesta 323 has dial B yebula sartol noma. Follow even number 3 la detela puri yekiu power soto no. Fulanjao iba number 1 la detela katombondirke.
Yeah, so we are back. You're watching QTV this morning, and let's move to the last segment of this program, and we'll be talking about the Kuros Film Festival 2024. It's good to have you here again.
Thanks for having us.
I think this is the second time.
Yes.
I think sometime last year.
Last year around this time we came back.
You were
yes.
here. Yeah. So we'll talk to our reporter currently. He is with the president on the President Meet the People tour. Then we'll come back to you and we talk about the festival.
Fantastic.
Yes. So we have Usman Jatta currently in the Makati with the Meet the People tour. Usman, how are you? Mr. Jatta, what's happening? What's happening in CRR?
Thank you so much, Mr. Bang.
Yeah, I think we're struggling to
with sound
get
there.
them here. Yeah, so welcome back, and please kindly introduce yourself. I know you are not a new face when it comes to the screen, but
you.
it's important for you to at least tell us a bit about yourself here.
No problem. Okay,
Yes.
my name is Babukar Sise. My acting name is Babu Sise. I've been working as an actor for about 20 years.
Oh.
Internationally is where I do most of my work. I moved back to Gambia in 2019, and since then, with the help of people like Suleiman
Say.
Yes, we have been steadily working to build the Gambian film and television industry. Mainly drama, comedies, horror, trying to get it out into the world.
Right.
Exactly.
Gentlemen?
My name is Suleiman Say. I am a writer and an actor with the Chorus Film Foundation, which is a group of people coming together to make sure Gambian film goes in a forward direction.
Right. I think it's important that a group is coming up with this because our film industry looks like it's not existent because people rarely watch Gambian movies, or we rarely produce Gambian movies. So there is an upcoming festival, film festival, I guess. So tell us about it.
Okay, so we started it last year. It's at the Alliance Française de Banjul. It was actually Justine Gouchelbar's idea.
Okay.
She's the director of the Alliance, and she came to us. We'd already been working as a foundation, focusing on training young people in the Gambia. Actually, I say young people, our oldest member is 70, so I shouldn't say that. Just training people in the Gambia in the film and television industry. And she said to us, what about a festival? Initially, we were like, well, we don't know about a festival, we don't see the point of it, but in the end, when we did it, it was a fantastic idea because it's a platform. Now we already have a place, until our film starts showing on QTV, we already have a place to show our films.
Right.
And the first year, last year, we were able to show films from all around the world, and we were able to show a trailer for our first short Gambian film that we made at Chorus, Hasim, which was written by Saul and stars Saul.
Okay.
It was his first time acting, and I can assure you he's fantastic in it. Yeah. So we showed a trailer for it because it wasn't completed. We managed to complete it this year along with two other films, Nanjan Groom, which is a horror film from the Manjago culture, and The Audition, which was produced by the Alliance Française de Banjul, about a Gambian woman auditioning for MasterChef Africa.
Okay.
And it's quite funny. It's a really funny film. So this is the year now where we want to showcase those films.
So what do we expect when it comes to the festival? What are the activities lined up for this festival from last year, and tell us what's going to be different this year?
So last year the focus was on international films. We watched loads of films, maybe 40 films and short films, and then we selected the ones. Every night you have a program. We were also able to show the work we had done at Chorus during the year. This year is finally our time to show the Gambian films. It's, because if the Gambian film industry is going to work, you have to show that you can make film to a certain level.
Right.
So this year we have 3 films. Every night we're going to show films from other parts of the world, 3 others, and 1 Gambian film. The first night is The Audition, which I mentioned, the comedy.
Right.
The second night is Nanjan Groom, which is the
Manjago
horror.
Right.
And then the final night is Hasim, which is going to be closing the show, closing the festival.
Okay.
Yeah. And it starts at 8 p.m.
You say you are a writer and an actor.
Yeah.
How do you juggle all those things together? Some people can only be writers, but they don't act.
Yeah. I think because writing comes very much earlier in the process, in the process of filmmaking, it's easier to do it and then go into the acting, because the acting exists only in production. The writing is way before. Sometimes the writing can go on to production as well, but I didn't find it particularly hard for this project. Maybe in the future, who knows? I'm not the most experienced when it comes to acting, but I didn't find it particularly hard, especially because I was so close to the script. So acting, being part of acting the script wasn't so difficult. Yeah.
So before the Chorus Film Foundation came into existence in the Gambia, what did you notice, or what was your take home about the film industry in the Gambia? And when you came into existence, what is changing for you?
When I first got here, I got invited actually to go see a film.
Okay.
When I saw the film, I was pleasantly surprised. I was surprised at what was done. I was then opened up to many more films, and I started seeing some of the challenges. Some of it is technical. It's just purely, maybe in some cases, a lack of equipment. In some cases, a lack of technical knowledge. Some of it is more creative. It's about, because Gambians have to be able to express themselves as Gambians. We're not just going to get up and make Nigerian type films or American type films. You have to say, okay, this is my story, and this is how I'd like to tell it. So I saw 2 things that needed to happen. One was to build the courage of the people here, so that they're able to say, this is me, this is how I'm going to express myself in the film industry. And all we did, we basically got, we have to thank our funders because they've made all the difference. The American Embassy were our first funder. And they've been funding us for 3 years now. And through their funding and a program that they have called the American Film Showcase, they've been sending people from America here, and they've even sent people from here to America to go and learn. We started off, it was me alone in an office. Then Martha joined, Sinu joined, Saul joined, and before long now we're at least 40 strong. All freelancers, all very focused. Not everybody's getting paid all the time, but people care about it. So we've built that hardcore group of people who really care about the film industry, and they're talented. And more than anything, I know you, in your previous interview, I watched a bit of it, you were talking about teamwork. More than anything, the thing we have done is build team spirit. The biggest problem that the Gambia film industry had was you had a lot of individuals working on their own. Each one of them was a videographer, a writer, a director, an actor, a artist. And it's like, okay, no, look, on a film set, the film sets I'm on, the last one I was on in Thailand had 800 people. And that's as big as it can get.
It is.
But then you have some that you need at least 100, 90, 75 people on there. We've got to a point with these short films where we have 40. So at that stage, you have someone focused on one job, you know.
Exactly. So we'll come back to you. Our reporter is ready, and we'll talk to him. Then we continue conversation. Yeah. So, Mr. Jatta, how are you doing?
Thank you so much. I'm fine, Mr. Balde.
Yes, it's good to have you here. Please tell us, at what stage are you, you know, right now?
The president has already concluded the first week of his tour, the Meet the People tour in URR, and now he has crossed in the Central River Region South, and currently
so let's
we are
continue.
in Janjambure.
So you said there are other movies that you need, you know, a lot of people, I mean, to be able to produce or do that movie. I mean, do we even have those personnel in the Gambia to be able to do that?
We're building them. So some of the things people don't know about films are the people behind the camera. Right? They're critical.
Right.
Yeah. Right? So now we have costume. We have makeup.
Okay.
The horror film is very dependent on makeup.
Right.
Our scary monster needs to look scary.
Right.
You know, so we need
art design as well.
art designers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So all of those roles, we've identified people in the society who are already practicing makeup and said, why don't you do a bit more film makeup? And after a while, some of those skills then become useful in this field. So it's filling those roles that we've been doing. I think the only issue we have at the moment is we have one person, maximum 2 people that can do that. And then they're training other people. If we get to the point where we have lots of people that can do it, then we build really strong.
Sometimes last week I watched a movie. I mean, I followed that movie for a very long time, but I watched the way they were filming it. Is it the Apocalypto or something? When I saw their dressing room, I was surprised. It was more than 500 people.
Yeah.
You know, doing all the makeups, all the designing and all those things. I was like, wow, this is how they do this? And, you know, there are a lot of things that happen in the background, you know, that you don't see in the movie.
Well, see those 500 people you're talking about, those people have to get paid.
Okay.
And that's where you go from doing it for love and doing it as an industry.
Okay.
Each one of those people will be paid. If you're paying 500 people a day to work, you know it's a lot of money.
It is.
And in order to make that money, you have to sell your films. So this year, we've got our 15-minute shorts. Those 15-minute shorts, after we show them here at the Chorus Film Festival at the Alliance Francaise, we will then send it out to competitions around the world. That's where you get interest.
Okay.
If people look at it and go, where's this film from? Gambia. They're making films like this?
Okay.
Do you have any more stories? Yes, we do. Do you have writers? Do you have crew? What do you need? How do we make it? Once they realize that, then we can make a feature. Because it's when you get to 90 minutes and above, you make a full-length film, that you have a market.
Right.
Then you can sell.
Right. So, Mr. Say, I have a question for you. But before that, Mr. Cisse, so when is the film festival? Time, and what do I need to do to get into watch?
It is on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday this week.
This week, okay.
Because it's a festival, it's a 3-day event.
Right.
And it's at 8 p.m. at the Alliance Francaise de Banjul. And tickets are $500.
Okay.
You can buy 3 tickets, I think, for $1,000 to come to all 3. Last year, what we found was people were coming to 2 or 3 nights.
Okay.
Because it's a really fun night out. There's a red carpet.
Okay.
You have to dress up like a movie star.
Oh.
Okay.
So people come looking amazing. Your CEO came looking incredible.
Wow, that was
exactly. With his
nice.
wife, we were very pleased to see him, Mr. Ja. So yeah, we welcome everybody.
Where can I get the tickets if I want to?
Please call 505-4484.
Okay.
505-4484.
That's
Okay.
Yes, and tickets are selling.
Yes, we'll
Alright.
come back to that again. Usman is on the line.
Again, okay.
This is going to be the last time. If we cannot get hold of Usman, we are forgetting him. Hello, Usman.
Yes, Mr. Balde.
Yes, Mr. Jatta. Now you've taken your breakfast.
Sure.
Yeah, so where are you right now?
Currently, we are in Janjambure, and the president has covered the first half of his Meet the People tour in URR, and he crossed to Sierra South yesterday, conducting several site visits and meetings with communities within Sierra South, starting with Nyamina Dankunku. He had a meeting with them, a very crucial meeting where community members, thank the president for visiting them. Equally as well, they have brought to his attention some of the pending development projects in their communities, like road infrastructure. That is one thing they have called for the president to step in to support them in, because according to them, like most of the roads leading, major feeder roads leading to the highway are not properly made. So there is a need for them to come in and support them, because in fact, if you look at the history of Nyamina, road infrastructure has been their major problem. But aside from road infrastructure as well, they have called on the president to support them in various aspects, like in the area of agriculture. Like women called in for the president to help them with tractors to be able to till their farms, because they are farmers. And equally as well, they have called for the provision of mobility for their police station to fight criminality in the area. Equally as well, they have called on the president to provide them with a health facility that would help their pregnant women to easily deliver if they are in maternity. So those are some of the points raised at the meeting. Equally as well, they have made concerns with regards to having a new ferry to the president. So the president has responded to their needs, and he has given them the assurance that he would work things out. Probably by next year he would be back in Nyamina to inaugurate most of their roads so that they could have good road infrastructure. But aside from that as well, he is conducting project site visits, and yesterday he launched the science lab of Dalaba Lower Basic School, which is also in Sierra South. So this is a significant milestone that the government has achieved by working with international partners like MRC Holland Foundation. So MRC Holland Foundation has been working on various projects, school projects, building schools across the country. And you'll be surprised that the last village in the Gambia, Bolibana, was able to get a brand new school with staff, headquarters, and it's really transforming and life-changing. Equally as well, the president visited the Maru farms in Sierra South to assess the level of flood damages which occurred in the past rainy season.
Exactly. We've also seen the president visited the Jar farm, the rice farm, and they are currently producing the Basse rice, according to conversations. In the next 1 month or so, they will start selling the rice produced in the Gambia.
Sure. Sure, that's another significant development. The president toured the Jar rice farms, like you alluded to, to assess the level of progress, to know what is happening with regards to the country's 2030 ambition. So the government is very committed to achieving this ambition, to make sure that the country's rice is sufficient by 2030. So he visited the farm, assessed the level of progress, and what he has seen is very impressive. The farm is already set for production. In fact, he has already harvested the first phase of the rice that was planted in the past 4 months, and most of it has been dried up, and some part of it has also been milled. So it's quite a significant achievement, and the rice field is 1,200 acres. So they're using mechanized farming, and in the coming months they are expecting new machines, ordering new machine, most likely from China, to start work. And this would also include irrigation, because if you know in Sierra there is abundance of water that could be used for agriculture. So this is one area Jai is relying on to make sure that he achieves his target of supporting the government's 2030 rice sufficiency target. So it's very important. And equally as well, he is not only providing working towards this target, it's also providing employment for many people. There are many women working in these farms, and monthly they get their pay. So it's quite important. It's also bringing development to the area, because he has already worked on almost a 6-kilometer feeder road that is already being developed. So compared to before, getting access to these areas is not easy. So it's bringing a whole new form of development to the area.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Jata, for talking to us on QTV this morning.
Sure.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Now let's move to Koro's Film Festival 20.
Right.
Why is it important for filmmakers to showcase their films at the festival?
It's basically we formed a core. That core is going to be, in my humble opinion, the core that builds the Gambia's film industry. And it's useful to build a new industry in the Gambia. We have some that are already doing well. This is an opportunity to show us what you can do. It's also an opportunity for us to connect you with the wider world. Even in the UK, they don't just aim to sell their films in the UK. The aim is to sell it globally. It's also an opportunity for us to show Gambia off to the world.
Right.
To say, here are our stories.
Right.
You know, yes.
So, Mr. Say, I can tell from looking at you, you're a very young writer and actor. And we have so many young people here who once had the dream to become like you today, write themes and act. But the dream died because of how the film industry has been seen before you guys came up to, organize this festival. What do you have to tell those that had the dream to become like you?
First of all, for writing, I would say never stop writing, really, if you want to become a writer. I haven't achieved all of my dreams, barely achieved any of my dreams,
Right.
but I've been lucky to be able to work with Babu and the Chorus Film Foundation.
Okay.
Even before that, I wasn't even thinking of writing films. Maybe it was a far thought in my mind,
Okay.
but I've been lucky to be able to work with the KFF. But I would say, as a writer, don't stop writing. Don't stop connecting with people. I would say if you want to get into an industry, you have to start meeting people within that industry.
Right,
I would
network.
say never stop connecting with people,
Right.
because that's how you find your way through. And not only in the Gambia, also these people exist outside of the Gambia. Of course, it's hard for different people to access different types of people, but try to meet as much people as you can. Try to attend as many events that connect to what you're doing as you can. That way you can meet different people, get different opportunities for jobs, and then before you know it, you might be working in the industry of your dreams.
Right. Thank you very much. Did you know that Mr. Cisse here starred in the movie called Into the Badlands?
Yes, I mean...
He's a star. We're sitting with a star here.
Absolutely.
Right.
But I've invited him last year. He
Okay.
was on this program.
Right.
And, so let's talk about how does the Koros Film Festival ensure all the people are represented. Gambia, it's a very cultural, diverse, country.
Correct.
How do we make sure all these people are represented?
It's challenging. That is definitely a challenge. So, for instance, you might want to make a film in a certain background or certain cultural setting. However, only 2 people in that cultural setting are interested in film.
Right.
Not everybody's asking their children to become actors and writers. In fact, I would argue that most people are asking their children to become lawyers and doctors. They're probably not even asking them to become journalists.
Absolutely.
They're like, no, it's not a career. And here you are sitting down, right?
Definitely.
So I think that's what I would say to people, that there is a potential there, and it has to start in the schools. The schools themselves need to promote the arts and say it's a way of expressing yourself and a potential for the future. When we have that mass of people, then we can dig into each culture deeper. If you see what I mean. At the moment, we have 2 or 3 people in each culture that are interested, and we're working together and managing as best as we can.
But you have a Manjago horror movie.
We do, yes.
And one would say the Manjago is not a very famous tribe in the Gambia.
No, it's not a big tribe in the Gambia.
It's not a big tribe in the Gambia.
No.
Like, we have the Mandinkas,
That's
the
correct.
Wolof, they're big. So why choose Manjago?
It was an
Sorry.
idea by Sinu Gomez.
They are not big, but they have a rich culture.
Yeah.
Very rich culture.
Yeah, I know.
So Sinu Gomez, who works with us, came up with this idea of a horror film, which we then adapted to a short. But actually, when we came to casting it, it became quite tricky to find Manjago actors. The 2 or 3 that we knew, one has gone to Canada, The other was sadly unwell.
Oh.
So we ended up in a situation where we had to use actors who cannot speak Manjago.
Wow.
And how did you manage that?
Well, they couldn't speak. So at the end of the day, we used Wolof. But what we ended up doing was try to, the story the senior had written, he adapted to say that, in fact, our story fit because it's about a woman who her mom throws her out at a very, very, very young age.
Wow.
And she's taken in by a Wolof family.
Okay.
The rest of the characters are supposed to be Manjago, but because she has been raised as a Wolof, although she's is Manjago,
yeah.
she is, the one way to communicate with her is in that language.
Okay.
And we even had a line in the play where someone's like, look, you're Manjago and you don't speak Manjago. And she's like, that's my failure. You see what I'm saying? Yes. But yeah, so it's a challenge.
I see myself in that line because I'm Jola, I don't speak Jola.
You don't speak Jola.
Right.
Oh. Yeah. All right. So when, please remind us the date.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday. This Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 8 p.m. Alliance Française de Banjul. It is very important to come on time.
Right.
We respect time. We will start on time.
There's nothing like Gambian time.
If people were coming at 9, then you have to wait outside a little bit until we have a gap, then we let you in. But we start on time. And also we have, you know, all sorts of people coming that we have to respect the fact they have arrived and start on time.
Right. Yeah, so the number again.
505.
Your tickets.
505-4484.
505-4484.
Yeah.
The
Please call that number for your tickets. The tickets are selling very quickly. And if you don't buy it as soon as possible, the place might be full before you, you get to. So,
and it's way cheaper to buy 3,002 for 3 days than to buy 500.
And it's a fun environment.
Right.
It's just people have a really good time.
Right.
Right.
I guess it's time. Our time is up.
Thank you, gentlemen, for coming.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
I wish you all the best of luck. Jacqueline, this is all we have.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. C and Mr. Cisse. See you at the Chorus Film Festival this weekend. Right.
All right, viewers, thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.